Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's Intelligence Insights brief from At Risk International's Global Risk Intelligence team. I'm Ross Hill, Director of Intelligence, and with me today I have Roman Fisher, one of our intelligence analysts. Today we're starting you off with the US debt ceiling, with the date fast approaching at which the government may not be able to pay its bills. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned that this could be as early as the first couple of weeks of June. But Moody's, the rating agency, calculated the X date, which is the date the government really will run out of money, as being around mid-August. The US default is essentially unprecedented, so the exact ramifications are unclear. But in any default scenario, it would severely damage the US economy. A recession would begin quickly. Interest rates on treasury bonds, mortgages, and credit cards would increase, and there'd be significant job losses. So it really affects everybody from businesses through to the general population. But the seriousness of what happens would depend on what kind of default it was. If it's kind of a technical or short-term default, which lasts a few weeks, maybe some payments are prioritized and some made on time and some aren't made on time. It's then calculated there'd probably be around 2 million lost jobs. Businesses would have trouble accessing finance. There'd be general financial instability and also a lack of business and consumer confidence. In a kind of worst case scenario, where the default is prolonged, so maybe more than 3 months, something like that, then it's estimated the economy could contract by about 4%, and around 7 million jobs could be lost. The government then would have to make significant spending cuts, so you'd get disruption to public services, and according to some estimates, financial markets would lose around 1/5 of their overall value. Then with no actual cash available, US government would have very limited policy options with which to stabilize the economy. And then, as we know, any US economic issue becomes a global issue, and would get a distinct lack of confidence in the global financial system as a whole. In both default scenarios, we definitely see an increased risk of protests and unrest. Despite all of that, though, the most likely outcome that we see at the moment is a negotiated settlement to increase the debt ceiling. But even getting close to that X date, potential default will cause significant disruption to financial markets, similar to kind of what we saw in 2011 and then again in 2013. And now I'll hand you over to Roman Fisher.
Thank you, Ross. According to data reported by the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, the number of internally displaced people, or IDPs, around the world reached 71.1 million by the end of 2022. This is an increase of 20% from the previous year. Internal displacement is a global phenomenon, but nearly 3/4 of the world's IDPs live in just 10 countries, including Syria, Afghanistan, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ukraine, Colombia, Ethiopia, Yemen, Nigeria, Somalia, and Sudan. Unresolved conflicts are responsible for the most significant displacement in 2022. Conflict and violence caused over 28 million internal displacements worldwide. This is 3 times more than the yearly average over the last 10 years. The conflict in Ukraine triggered nearly 17 million displacements. 32% of the global total was recorded in sub-Saharan Africa. The Democratic Republic of the Congo accounted for around 4 million displacements, and Ethiopia just over 2 million. Disaster-related displacements rose by nearly 40% compared to the previous year, and this is almost 33 million in total. Primarily due to the effects of La Nina climate patterns, which continued for a 3rd consecutive year. Additionally, the worst drought in over 40 years has forced over 2 million displacements in the Horn of Africa, including more than 1 million in Somalia alone. The Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, Jan Egeland, described the global crisis as a perfect storm. He also stated, quote, "Conflict and disasters combined last year to aggravate people's pre-existing vulnerabilities and inequalities, triggering displacements on a scale never seen before," end quote. And that's what we have for you this week. We do appreciate you spending a little time with us. We hope you found the information valuable, and we do hope to see you again soon. Thank you.